It's the first day of a 2-month-long show, and you're really excited to be working on this one because the story is wonderful, the cast is great, and the crew is a bunch of people that you have not worked with in a while and enjoy working with. The sound department is a bunch of pros that you really enjoy working with and haven't worked with in a while, so you're excited about it. You're getting paid a great rate, and most of your locations are close to your house, so you're not going to have a long commute. Sounds like a pretty good start, right? Well, day one is the first day of 5 on location at a multi-million-dollar mansion. And before you go there, you go to catering, and of course you're well rested because you slept well the night before. Catering has a wonderful selection because it's a good caterer, and they have everything from a juicing station and vegetarian food to even crispy bacon for you carnivores. You go to set, and you have a pre-call and you start using it. Locations department is there and they greet you with a smile. They start taking you around and showing you all the noises, the refrigerators, the coolers and wine coolers and the hidden noises that you would normally have to be fishing around for once you're rolling, but Locations has already done their due diligence and they are showing you where those things are, so that way you're aware of them and can address them before you even start. They even go so far as to tell you that at 9:30 a.m. there's going to be landscaping going on in one of the houses behind your location. But don't worry, because they've already talked to the landscaping company and they are more than happy to work with you on rolls and cuts. So it sounds like a great thing, right? Now you're in. First day, everybody greets everybody, seems really happy and excited. Cast comes to set. There's a wonderful rehearsal, and even though it's a private rehearsal, the director and first AD does not mind you being there and watching. Wonderful. You're able to see the whole process, get an idea for the feel of the show. You introduce yourself to the director, the first AD, the crew, and that doesn't know you, and everyone seems very receptive and open to sound. Wonderful. It's very dynamic, but it doesn't seem that difficult. The DP starts lighting it. It's very soft lights, easy to boom. Throw a boom anywhere in there and you're not going to be casting a shadow. But if you do, don't worry. The DP seems more than happy to work with you. And don't worry about wides and tights because the director doesn't want to do that kind of thing. They like to roll single camera coverage on those wide shots. Sounds wonderful, right? It is. You go from room to room, you shoot a little bit here, a little bit there, and of course, then maybe you go outside at the end of the day and you do a couple of night shots right there as the sun goes down, and then they call wrap. Nice 12-hour day, first day. Wonderful, easy day. You go home, you come back the next morning, you do your catering thing, again, well rested. You go to Locations and you're really excited about day 2, and you were met with nothing but scowls from the Locations department. What did you do wrong? That's when it hits you. You made a rookie mistake and you forgot to turn back on the refrigeration units. Thousands of dollars worth of everything from wine to food has been spoiled, and Locations is responsible for it, and production's going to have to pay for it. Guess what? Locations is going to forgive you, but they are not going to let you get away with that on any more days of this location or any other for the remainder of this show. You have shot yourself in the foot. And it seems like this wonderful show is now going to be a lot more noisy. How can you avoid such things? Because this is not a circumstance you want to be caught in. And of course, I think we've all done it. I mean, anybody who's been in the film industry for a while in the sound department has probably run into this before. And if you're in the Locations department, you can tell horror stories of thousands and thousands of dollars worth of food that had to be bought by production because some sound department person forgot to plug in a refrigeration unit. Yes, it sucks. But there are things you can do to try to get around it. One of the most common solutions that people recommend is to put your keys in the refrigerators. The idea with that is that you cannot leave and go home for the day if your keys are in the refrigerator. So if you're looking for your keys at the end of the day, you say, they're in the refrigerator. You go to the refrigerator, you get them out, and you go home. It's not that simple because you're going to forget. Or Location is going to have a hard out and they say you all have to be out because we got to shut down this place at 7 p.m. Or that's when everybody's going to be in and you have to, that's when the restaurant opens up and we have to be out there. Or that's when they say, well, we're going to start at one location, then we're going to actually move to another location and you're going to shoot that second location. Then you say, oh, geez, I got to go back to the first location, get my keys, but that location's now closed. You can't get your keys. Don't do this to yourself. This is extremely bad because now you can't get home. Your keys are inside of some refrigeration unit at a location, and now your Locations department's going to have to get somebody out there in order to get your keys in order to get you home. Don't do this. Don't do this at all. There's a better solution out there. And if you want to basically do the same exact thing, but without the risk of if you happen to forget, then the simple solution is to disrupt your routine someplace. Like, for example, let's say that every single day you get your headphones and your IFB system, maybe your wireless boom, everything is in a jockey box and you pull everything out of there. Or maybe not. Maybe your IFB is kept in one place and the rest of your boom stuff is kept someplace else. Whatever the case may be, disrupt your routine so that when you go and put your stuff up at the end of the day, you'll see a note right there staring at you in the face, refrigerator. Something along those lines. If it is not part of your normal routine, then you will notice it and say, ah, yes, that is a good reminder. Disrupting your routine is very important if you want to remind yourself of something, because it will trigger a memory as, why is it this way? Oh, it's because it's this. I need to turn on the refrigerator. Now, of course, the pros know a different way. What they'll do is they'll actually cycle refrigerators. They'll ask locations if it's okay to turn on and off those location refrigeration units between shots, maybe between long setups, because sometimes it could take a couple of hours to light a scene. And if that's the case, no reason in keeping the refrigerators off when you can turn them back on. As long as they'll cool down things, you can kill them again and it will be great, right? Yeah, it's going to be great provided you remember to turn them back on. But that's not normally an issue as long as you've done this for a while and you know the game. So you want to remind yourself in a way that makes sense to you. My trick for this is I say in my mind a little simple phrase, pick up and turn on. Now what this means to me is at the end of every single setup, I will say pick up and turn on. Anything I have put down, do I need to pick it up? Did I put down carpets for footsteps? If I did, do I need to pull anything up? Because if they are putting down dance floor for every single setup they're doing, then of course the grips are going to want you to pull up your carpets when they turn around because that's where you need to put, dance floor. Okay, fair enough. There's one thing. Refrigeration units though. You got to also manage that properly. If they are putting the dance floor down in front of a refrigeration unit, you can't necessarily turn that back off or turn that back on, I should say, because if you do, you may not be able to unplug it once the dance floor is down. They're not going to want to move the dance floor in order for you to turn off the refrigerator. If they're going to be barricading the door because, it's going to snug up to it, then you obviously can't turn it back on. But what you can do is tell yourself pick up and turn on. So that way you can say, I can't actually turn it on just yet, but at first opportunity, I will. Then, of course, right before you get ready to roll, when they call last look, you start cycling everything down and you start killing everything. Now, if you decide to go in there and turn off the refrigeration units and stuff, if it is a knob that you turn from maybe 5, it's like a 0 to 10 thing, and 0 is off, 10 is maximum coldness or something like that, take note of what those things are. You don't want to have the freezer on 3 and the refrigerator on 5 and to turn it all off and say it was the freezer that was on 5 and the refrigerator was on 3, right? Okay, yeah. Make notes if you have to. Send yourself a text message or make a little note, the same note that you use that says refrigerator and you stick it inside of your jockey box or whatever to remind you. You can do that. The main point here is if you do something, undo it. And furthermore, whatever you do, talk to locations about first. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, locations was already on board. They already were very receptive to what your needs were as a sound department, but talk to them about what you're planning on doing. Tell them that you are turning this off, and this on, and of course, or this off, and make sure that they also are aware of everything that you're doing. The reason why is because you don't want to be the only person who knows something, because you are human and things get crazy on set. And it's quite possible that you could forget. There's never a bad thing that comes from asking someone to double check you. They may forget as well, but they might not. Locations, it is their responsibility to manage those locations. So if you tell them, I'm turning off these units and this wine unit right here, if you can help me remember that, they'll say absolutely, because that's their job. They're going to. And they will also come up to you and say, did you turn back on my refrigeration units? And say, I'm about to, or thanks for the reminder. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, though, you get to it before they do. Now, remember cycling on and off. You'll hear it if it's still on when you get ready to roll. So obviously, you'll kill it. But If you don't want to put your keys inside, what can you do with your keys if you say, I like the key idea, I don't really want to write myself a note? Well, remember the jockey box idea? You can put your keys inside of there. That is one solution that does work. But here's another. If you have something like your cell phone and you wrap a rubber band around it, it doesn't need to be something that is, keeping the screen, that you keep on the screen at all times. You can easily, rather than keeping it around the center of the face, you can run it around the outside of the phone. Something little like that. Every time you look at your phone, you say, what's that rubber band? That's going to be a reminder. Your keys themselves could also be a reminder if you have a place that you always keep your keys. Wrap those with a rubber band. Do something to disrupt your routine. I've said it once, I'm saying it again. Disrupt your routine. By doing that, you are going to assure that it triggers your memory for some reason and you will make an adjustment. The whole pick up and turn on thing, that is simply a reminder that you can tell yourself after every setup and after every scene to pick up anything that you put down, like for example, carpets or plant mics or whatever, and turn on anything that you turned off. That's going to keep locations happy, and that's going to keep the overall happiness with the sound department very happy. You're going to be able to have very quiet locations, and locations is going to stay on your side quite often if you manage the locations and you show respect for the locations and the locations department. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.